Hey fam, what's up, what's up, what's up? This is Robert Anton here, robertanton.com. First, I want to congratulate the New York Giants for winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, champions, we are the champions. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, I am bringing you your no-frills commentary, this time from the Voice of America, the auditions. We are here 2012 for the Voice of America, and the first episode of the auditions was pretty darn exciting with some really great talent. So let's jump right into it. First of all, if you don't know how the voice works, we start out with the auditions, and they're called blind auditions because the judges are not looking at the contestants. They are turned away from the contestants, and then they can chime in order to turn around if they like the contestants. If one judge chimes in, then that judge gets that contestant on their team. Or they're called coaches, not really judges. They're coaches. If two coaches or more chime in, then the contestant gets to choose which team they are going to be on. If you're not familiar with The Voice, the teams are Christina Aguilera, Adam Levine, Ceelo Green, and Blake Shelton. All right, there's one change from last season for those of you who watched last season. Instead of 8 people on each team to start out, there are going to be 12 people on each team. And they did announce that they went out to invite people to audition. So I'm not sure if they had live auditions or whatever all over the place or not. But I do know that they did invite people, and I know that you could submit a video, and I guess you could get invited from the video submission also. So first up, RaeLynn, she was 17. She decided she was going to sing some Miranda Lambert, right? Hell on heels. And I wrote Adam chimed in first, and then Blake. She had a nice sound and played the guitar. I liked when she showed a little roughness in the middle of the song, and it was a big change from the beginning, because in the beginning she had like a Dia-like sound, for those of you who watched last season, and it was very light and it was pretty and all that, but then she like really got some grit going on and she sounded really, really good. I liked the change. I liked both voices also. Both guys stood up for her, and she chose Blake on her team. Now, the thing with choosing a coach is, I talked about last time, and I actually am going to attach to this, probably the first video attached to this video is going to be my beginning last year's season, talking about The Voice and how it works and why I think certain things are important. And one of the things that is really important is choosing the right coach and being on the right team, because you want to find somebody who can work with you, who has your type of style, who has the type of career that you want to have. And not just choose anyone because of what they say, you know, and each one says they can make you a star. But Javier Colon was already a star when he came on the show last time, and he won because he was full out the best vocalist with the most solid performance skills. So, moving on from there, I thought she chose Blake, and I thought it was a pretty decent choice. She was a country girl, so, you know, naturally to go country and to make those contacts with country people is probably best for her career. Next up was Jesse Campbell. He was 42. He did A Song for You by Donny Hathaway. And he had barely opened his mouth when 3 judges chimed in. Christina, Ceelo, and Adam immediately. I mean, like, he opened his mouth, and he had that type of voice. Blake was the holdout. He chimed in a few seconds later. But he had such a beautiful voice. He had a nice tone. He had great placement. He was killing his performance. But soon as he opened his voice, you could tell. Soon as he opened his mouth, I could say open his voice also, but soon as he opened his mouth and sang that first note, it was like, oh my God, this guy has a great voice. You could just tell immediately. I thought his whole overall performance was phenomenal. And I think, personally, just from what I've heard so far, that he sounds better than last year's winner, Javier Colon. So we are going to see where he is going to go. He's 42 years old and just really getting out there. He's been performing around, doing weddings and churches and all that good stuff. He chose Christina, and I thought that was a great choice because he has that big voice that can really do the melismas, the riffs and whatnot, and I think she can help him along his way with that. Daniel Rosa was next. He was 20 years old. He did Animal. I wrote he had a nice, easy voice. That's the first thing that I heard from him. But no one chimed in for him. I saw Blake mouth that he was pitchy. Yeah, but he still had such a nice voice that I would think that one of the judges could work with him. Yeah, but they didn't chime in for him. But he did a great thing, a really great thing. He asked them what he could have done differently or what he could have done better. He asked for some critique, even though he wasn't going to be on the show. And they said that he needs to work on his pitch, that he was very pitchy. And so that is a good starting point for him to continue to improve himself. But he did have a nice sound, a nice voice. And I thought it was a great move for him to ask for some critique right then and there. Juliet Sims was next. She was 24. She did Oh Darling, a rocker girl. Yeah, I wrote she had a good roughness and she had that kind of Janis Joplin thing going on, right? Ceelo and Adam chimed in for her. And she was just doing her thing. She gave a full performance. She jumped down on her knees. You know, she got up and sang. I just thought it was really, really good. Christina chimed in when she was just ending the song. And Adam and Christina were fighting over her, right? You know, they were going back and forth. And Christina said he was trying to be like Justin Timberlake, you know, putting his feet up and trying to be all cool or whatever. She decided to get through the madness and choose Ceelo. And being the outwardly really performer type girl that she is, I think that she made a good choice. Again, she reminded me of someone from last season that was on Ceelo's team. Tell me if you know who I'm talking about. Yes, Mann was up next. He was 29. He's an operatically trained guy. He came out, he started out in Italian, I believe it was. He had a nice, clear voice with great placement. Really sounded good. I thought it was just a little strange fit for the show. I didn't know if anybody, because they were all kind of like, you know, yeah, he's got a good voice, but what the heck is he singing, right? So, you know, he did go into some English or whatever. Ceelo and Christina chimed in for him. And Ceelo asked why he chose the song he chose. And he said because he has such a big voice and he's always been trying to dumb it down basically and fit into this box. And for this performance, he really just wanted to be himself. And he did have a really big, well-placed voice. And it's going to be interesting to see, because he chose Christina as a judge, to see what she does with him. I think she also has a really huge voice that, you know, a lot of times people say she needs to pull it back or whatever, but she is famous for what she is. She has this big voice with all this stuff going on, and every time she comes, she brings what she has. And it'll be interesting to see what she does with him and what kind of songs she chooses for him, because that is a part of the game, what songs they get to work on. Next, they show several people, like 3 or 4 people, who sang, but none of the judges turned around. And what was striking to me was that all of them had decent to very good voices. All of them. And so I was just thinking, and then they were talking about how they were doing the auditions or whatnot. You know, and you know, American Idol, I really like the funny thing that they do with some of the people who really think they can sing, but they can't sing. But the voice has not been going that way, and I think they've just been trying to make their own thing. That they're trying to say that they have the best voices, you know, out of any of the competitions. But what looks to me is like they have the most trained voices. They have the most professional voices because they are actually choosing people who are already out there in the business, singing background for this person and working with that person, you know, Alicia Keys. They put out all these different names that people have worked with, sang background for, you know, did stuff in the studio for. So they are more going for more professional people in this competition. And, you know, everybody has to have their niche. So if this is their niche, that is a good thing. But they can't really be compared to one of the other competitions that is taking really raw talent and making them stars. They're having people come who are already stars. Just like Javier Colon had already had a contract before. You know, he was already had a career going. And a lot of the people on American Idol, especially most of the winners, have never, you know, performed professionally. They've been doing little things here and there, but never performed professionally. So last up was Tony Lucca. He was 35. He did Trouble. He was very, very comfortable on stage, and he had been on the Mickey Mouse Club, you know, with Christina before. So he was very comfortable on stage. He did his thing. He sounded really good. He had his guitar, you know, and for me, he was just very much at home. I didn't think he had the greatest voice, but I thought he worked with what he had very, very well. He sounded really good. He was really into the performance, did everything perfectly. So Adam chimed in, and then Christina, then Blake, and finally Ceelo was going to chime in, and Adam went on and hit his buzzer and chimed in basically for him. So he got all 4 judges to chime in for him, and he went with Adam. And Adam was the only one who didn't have somebody yet, so that was a good thing. Now, I have a correction that I actually did in my comments. I thought that The Voice was going to be on Fox, which it was not. It is on NBC. And it will also be playing Monday night at 8 p.m. for a 2-hour show. And from the previews, it looks like these singers were throwing down. So I will be planning on watching tomorrow night. And the coaches are also going to perform a medley of Prince tunes. So that should be something to hear. All right, this is Robert Anton. If you don't know me, robertanton.com. I have the So You Want to Be a Singer series here, right here on YouTube. And also check out my originals playlist. And here's some of my original R&B and dance music. All right, I'm out. Peace.